Morning guys, welcome to the video today. Now we're going to talk about Aston Villa. Aston Villa pulled off a magnificent result last night. That was statement worthy. To beat Bayern Munich back in the Champions League. You're worried how Villa are going to fare in it, but they've just taken to it with flying colours. And I thought against Bayern Munich, they were such warriors. It was such a good performance. I think, don't get me wrong, they rode their luck at times, and Bayern had a lot of the ball and they were probing, and they could have easily have scored something. And even at the end, Harry Kane, Martinez pulls off a worldie. It was never going to be straightforward, but for Villa to keep a clean sheet, win the game, it just shows they mean business in the Champions League. And first half they done decent. I thought second half they rode their luck at times. Bayern were working avenues to try and score, but that goal, Duran has just done it all season. He's come off the bench, and yeah, that goal was a mixture of two things. It was unbelievable to even spot Neuer off his line, and to even execute that shot as well. You've got to be, this fella is something special. He is going to be a world-class striker. He is so good, and it's scary that he can't even get in the team, and that's how just good Watkins is. But also it was a mix of Neuer. That was dreadful. I mean, that when he looks back at that, I mean, he's done everything in the game. He's one of the best goalkeepers ever. But he was massively naive. And I don't think he realised just how good Duran was, because if you do that to Duran, you give him the whole goal to aim at. Don't put it past this fella to find the back of the net. But for Villa, it was amazing. And I just want to talk about Villa's start to the season, really, because it was, there's a lot of talk whether they're going to, build from last season. Are they going to fall off like Newcastle did? But on paper, there's been nothing to suggest. They've won most games this season. They've still managed to pick up wins on a regular basis. And as for their players, I could praise all of their players. I could, but I want to mention a few. I want to mention, first of all, Tielemans. I don't know what's happened, but this guy this season has been absolutely world class. What a player he has been for Villa this season. And you know what? When he came last summer, I'll tell you what, his first half of his Villa career was okay. He's playing a few games. He wasn't getting into the team all the time. He was in and out. But then the second half of last season, I've noticed he really picked it up. And there was a game at Arsenal away, particularly in the second half, where Tielemans was unreal. He was unplayable. And he was a big reason why Villa shocked us and beat us. He was unbelievable in that second half. And that looks to have been a turning point for him, because since then, he's really, nailed down that position as a central midfielder on a regular basis for Villa. He's not just in and out. He's playing every week now for Villa. And he's so important next to Onana, who's slotted in brilliantly from Douglas Luiz leaving. And it makes you wonder where John McGinn's going to come in, because you can't drop these two. These two are unbelievable. So John McGinn would have to maybe, have a bit of time on the bench when he comes back, or he might have to go maybe on the left, how Emery likes to change it around. But he's been unreal. And also Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers, I mean, I've noticed him when he was a youngster at West Brom. I used to watch a lot of youth team games, and he was brilliant for West Brom. And then he went to Manchester City, didn't quite make it in the first team, and then had a bit of a dip in his career, went to Middlesbrough, done very well. Villa took a chance on him, and he's looking like a serious player. This guy should be playing for England. He's so good. I knew he was good. I didn't know how good he was. I didn't know he was this good, basically. And he's playing really, really well. And they've got a nice little balance there. Ezri Konsa, another one I want to mention, done really well. They've just got a really good team. Really good team. So it makes me wonder, certainly. So why exactly did I put, when I done my predictions, why did I put Villa 7th then? Because they look like a serious football team. They look like a serious team who could probably look to challenge the higher end of the table as opposed to the lower end. Came 4th last season. Why would I put them 7th? And second question, do I still think they'll finish 7th? I'm less sure. I'm less sure now of it because they're doing so well. Maybe 6th or 5th, but I'm going to stand by my prediction because at the end of the day, you can't go changing it. My reasoning was I did not feel they could, for a 9-month season, I didn't think they could juggle cup competitions, Champions League football with the Premier League. It's their first time doing it, and I thought maybe they'd come unstuck. And 6 games gone, it's very hard to see evidence of that. But I stand by that. I don't think I think it's a bit disrespectful to them because they've done so well. But I stand by my prediction because I feel like even in the Premier League this season, if I've been overly critical, there's been some scratchy games for Villa this season. I know performance-wise, but I think results-wise, there's no evidence to prove that because 4 wins out of 6, very, very good. But the reason I still think Villa will finish 7th is because of games like Ipswich. Those games where you're playing midweek, Wednesday, Saturday, and you draw 2-2 to Ipswich. And results like that happen. Ipswich are a decent side. If Aston Villa had battered Ipswich and it was undeserved that Ipswich got a point, then fair enough. But Ipswich were good value for that point. If Villa want to keep finishing in the top 4, they can't be slipping up like they did against Ipswich because Ipswich, they deserved the point, I'd say. And that is where I think Villa will come unstuck this season. I think it's games like Ipswich and even Everton, Wolves. Like Everton were 2-0 up against Villa and Villa got it back to 2-2. Or it might have been 2-1 and Calvert-Lewin hit the bar. That was a very, very lucky sort of victory for Aston Villa because there were some hairy moments and it took a wonderful goal from John Duran to secure the win. So that papered over a few cracks because Everton had Villa on a few occasions. And then you look at Wolves. Wolves were a goal up. Villa probably deserved it in the end, but Wolves could have been 2-0 up. There were some hairy moments in those 2 games. And even against us, Villa should have beaten us. They should have. They were on top of us and they allowed us to stay in the game and we stole it at the end and won 2-0. That's me being overly critical. I just feel even though everything's brilliant, they've got a wonderful team, if they're going to last the 38 games and still finish in the top 4, they've got to stop those hairy moments like Everton, like Wolves, like Ipswich on the weekend. And Ipswich was the moment they got found out because they could have easily have drawn or lost to Wolves and Everton, but the Ipswich one was just, Ipswich caught them and Ipswich deserved it as well. It's Villa need to sort that out, and they're playing United on Sunday or Saturday. I can't remember when it is. And on current form, you'd say Villa should storm that game, but Villa need to stop the script. The script is Erik ten Hag, whenever he's under pressure, always pulls out a result for Manchester United, and everyone's predicting Villa to steamroll. I think there's a big chance United could steal something from Villa this weekend because I think it's very Manchester United to be in the moment they are, playing so poorly and just nick a result, nick a draw, nick a win, like they did last season to Villa. Villa need to change the script because I'm telling you what, if they're not careful, if they put in a couple of their performances like they've done against Everton, against Wolves and Ipswich, Man United will catch them out. Because I tell you one thing about Man United, when they fancy it, when they want to turn up, they will turn up. And I wouldn't be surprised if they got a result at Villa, purely from that evidence. So it's a very difficult one. Villa can't go into that game expecting to batter Man United because they're not playing well. They have to be very smart in that game. Because I tell you what, if the Garnachos, the Rashfords turn up, they could surprise Villa. So they need to be careful in that game. They should win. I think they won't. I think it will be a draw or United will nick something at the end. So Villa need to change that. They need to be a bit more consistent in the league with their performances. And if they do that, then they won't finish 7th. But I don't want them to. I want Villa to finish in the top 4 again. I love Aston Villa. I think the way Emery celebrated against Bayern at the end yesterday, it was just, he's found his home. He loves Villa. Villa love him. It's a wonderful matchup. And I want him to keep growing the football club, but I still think Villa need to sort out some of their league performances. But we'll see what happens. Great win for Villa, and let's hope that they can get a win against Man United and go into the international break comfortably in the top 4.